A problem, I don't know, but I'm going to try to stream live. I try to use my same things. You try to stream live. If it doesn't work for you one day, someone else in your group, it works. And today it's working beautifully. Isn't that interesting, Mark, that last week it said I had a quota. This week it doesn't have any problem, so it's strange things occur. Is it within my process? No. Okay. So we are then streaming live to YouTube. I am also recording. Anytime you want to look at the recordings, you can go to Blackboard and view the recordings of the class. Class is always recorded. So today, what are we going to do? Today, we're going to continue talking about hardware, software, the ways in which we can document, record, get other people to get remote control. And we'll talk about what were issues in this assignment that is due today on advanced features of group Zoom recordings and how we can get by it. Okay? Any issues that somebody wants to bring up in general of what we had? So Zach Winkleman, how did your group do?
Pretty good.
What were your issues, or what did you see as kind of issues that you had?
Our biggest issue was just finding the time that everybody kind of
See, okay, so we got to find it. You know what I mean? I don't have to micromanage it, but it has to be done. And then Zach, every week you're going to have the same issues, and every week it's going to be like piled up. And not only that, I'll want you to kind of take what you've done in the past and improve it. Right? All of a sudden, hey, we didn't do a good enough job on our tutorial, right? Mark, we'll see your tutorial. Part of it was so long because you were just trying to figure out how to get a lot of this done, and it wasn't able to record on our screen. So that seemed to be an issue. And other than that, and then I have Christiane and Valentina, we need to show have your webcam on. Okay, so let me talk about things I need to know. What do we need to do here? That we're working on. And Sebastian, you've come in here. Sebastian, what it will do here is you can make some notes here for our next assignment, what's going to be important too. Okay, Sebastian? And I'll be talking about also, maybe I'll get a chance to talk about also Google Notebook.
Okay.
And LM too. Okay, so you can take some notes here, and then Sebastian, unmic yourself when you think it's important to share. Okay, you got it, Sebastian?
Got it. By notes, you mean stuff you're gonna say, or stuff in general?
Just in general, that basically, if you want to basically highlight something that's important for the students to understand.
All right.
Okay,
Perfect.
great. So you guys see my screen, right? Andrea, you see my screen. You see that I'm now on YouTube. You see that I have the link here. It is trained with, we have that going for us. Okay, now I'm going to go to this is my audit section, right? Where you have it. I'm going to first go to HI regular section. We were in our Zoom meetings, and as I mentioned before, under our Zoom meetings, we can see all our cloud recordings here that we see. If you need to review it, you can view it. And as I talked about it before, is I have some of those that have audio only, which is interesting because we can use that audio only for other AI programs to use as well. So we have that available to us. So let's go to our Hardy What's Due section. And let me turn my edit off so I see the same things that you do. Okay, so I see here Wednesday, February 5th, it says before class, I have the audit assignments, which was the advanced digital communication skills. And the idea is group. And the idea is how do we get together? Seems like one of the problems here is keep finding opportune time. You're going to have to figure that out as a group. If you want to get full credit, this is the issue what you have to do and figure it out as a group. I can't, I don't have authority here to micromanage you, so you'll be able to do that. We always giving you at least a week in advance to do these assignments, so I suggest you do it early. We talk about the idea we needed to talk about software. We'll talk about additional software today, the difference between operating system software, application software, how does it connect to hardware, and we have the tech guide to software. You have the adaptive Wiley. You can see your grades here. These count for homeworks. If you're not doing it, it will affect your grade. We have the adaptive assignments here and the quizzes. Okay, so we have that done. For next week, we have another assignment, which is screen recording. And we have another assignment. We're going to go to another chapter, which I'm going to skip to chapter 5, which will talk about data and knowledge management, and also the adaptive assignments on it and the quizzes on that. So if I go to the Wiley assignments, then I know that I have, in this case, I had my tech guide software. I go to my adaptive assignment. You will all know that the role here, I'm the role of the instructor. So when I open the assignment, which was due today, this assignment here, which I don't understand, is 13 people haven't even started where it was due before the class. So basically, it's my idea of why these students are struggling, but I have a number of people that if I go to students, right, if I click down, anyone is blue, that I see that they've accomplished it well. So I have Briggs and Jael and Peyton and Grant, right, that have assigned it. So I have that part. I'm good with that. So I can close this part. And then if I go back to H1, I can see that under Wiley, I want to make sure that it's available. I have data, knowledge, and management. So what we'll be talking about today and next time is how do you manage the data? What's a database approach? We'll be talking about big data, where do we store our data, what we call data warehouses and data mart, how do we get knowledge? And of course, we have an adaptive assignment. So if I open the assignment, it should say probably that there's one in progress and 42 have not started, which makes sense here. And then I can go among the students. And of course, I see that no one has started because it was just assigned, of course. Okay, and I know one due date. So if I look at the due date, it's saying that it's due February 12th. Okay, so I know that I'm checking to make sure that everything is proper, because even if we have AI, we know that we still need human intervention to make sure that it's working properly. So I can basically go back. I know that this is fine. And now I went into the what's due section. I know under my PowerPoints tell me then, notice I have a PDF here. And let's say if I wanted to do another one of, we talked about hardware the other time, we talked about software. Let's look at software. And at this point, I want to download it. And in this case, if I download it, I go to my downloads subdirectory folder. I can see that I have right here PowerPoint, If I open it, what I can do with these PowerPoints is I give you the opportunity. I'm going to save it, but I'm not going to save it. Everybody see this? I'm not going to save it. Let me make this larger. I'm not going to save it as a PPTX. I have one version of that. I want to save it as a PDF. So I'm going to save this as a PDF, and you know what? I'm going to change the name and also put PDF here too, that I know that that's a PDF. And I want to make sure it's saved in the downloads subdirectory, right? I want to make sure that I save it in the downloads a subdirectory, and I want to say save. Okay. So I've saved this. You can see, all of you know how to do PowerPoints, I imagine. And we talked about the ideas of software issues, system software, and application software. And you see down below on these, you have software that it's talking about, system software. You have notes here of the system software, where this allows you to tell that is a set of instructions and serves as an intermediary between the computer and between the hardware and the application. We talked about the idea of system software as being what? As an example, what's an example? OS. And what does OS stand for? Zach Winkleman, what does OS stand for? You remember? Zach, you remember?
I'm looking it up right now. You said
Yeah. Oh,
OS?
you heard of iOS, Mac OS?
Yeah,
Have you heard of those terms? You did, right? They're what?
operating system.
Operating system, right? If I could spell, that'd be good, right? Operating system. You know it, Zach, but it's just the idea. It's called OS. It's the same idea, but who cares? The idea of who cares on that operating system is it brings together certain applications. Does it matter if I'm using, have you ever heard of Android? Zach Winkleman.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the difference and who cares? Somebody has a phone with an Android. Most people have iOS, but what would be the difference? Is it if you had in a company some that had Android and some that had iPhone? Why would you care? And you were the CEO of the company.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so do you think it's going to matter? You think the same software runs on Samsung as it does on an iPhone?
No.
No, right? So if you said, I want everyone to use this type of software, right? They're going to have different versions, or we'll have to do a basic converting. If I had then, Andrea, if I have in this case a Mac, it runs what? A Mac OS. Is there, if I had a Dell computer or something like that, do you know what that would run? Andrea?
I'm not sure, but I'm gonna
Okay,
Google
a
it
Dell
really quick.
computer, usually a Dell computer, right? Thomas
It
would
says
run what?
Windows. Oh,
Windows,
sorry.
right? Have you ever heard of Windows? Andrea? Yeah, you heard of it. There's Windows, right? There's what? There's going to be Mac OS. There's going to be what else? Let me just put a space there. What
Isn't there
other
Linux or Linux or something?
Linux, right? And who cares about that? Who said that?
Me, Thomas.
Thomas, good. So there's Linux. So you remember we talked about the idea of open source and closed source? You remember that? Thomas, what do you remember about that?
That open source, like some AI models, the code is available for everyone. As long
Everyone.
as like you have a Wi-Fi connection and a computer, you can see. I
You
don't
can see
remember
the code. For
specifically.
most of us, For most of it, us, we wouldn't even know if we saw the code what we could do with it. But a lot of programmers and developers can do what? They can add on to it. They can make adjustments to the code. Have you ever heard of DeepSeek, Thomas?
Yes, we spoke about it, I think, last week, last
Right,
Monday.
last week. And it is
Hmm.
basically it's a Chinese company, right? That said they're going to do open source, and what other companies in the United States said is we have open source software. They used our open source software to help them create new language models, right?
Right.
And they didn't cheat in that case. It was open source that they're saying, let the world help us together. It's almost like the class, right? What I'm saying is we're going to be helping each other, right, Thomas? That's kind of like we're saying, I can't do it alone. And you can't do it alone, right? We need each other. That, Thomas, you have some skills I don't have. You can do some research that I can't. You can do all these things together, right? And that's what you want to have your team. Somebody may be in finance, somebody may know really marketing well, and that's what we're going to team together, collaborate together. And that open source, Linux, is called open source, and you say, who cares? And that's always right. Basically what I want to say, Andrea, is we want to always know who cares in the way, how's that going to help us in business? And the idea is, why should you do it? Is that people can then improve it, more people can improve it. But usually open source means what? Thomas, you're on a roll. Does it mean that it's going to cost money or not?
It means it's free for everyone to use.
It's free for everyone. So you say, if I'm in business, I want to make what? A profit, right? I have to pay my employees, right? Even if we're a nonprofit, right? I need to get some revenues, right? Even if we think about our university as a nonprofit university, but they still have to pay me, right? They still have to not only pay me, but they have to just think about all their facilities. It takes even just gardening, right? Somebody's going to have to maintain this. Somebody's going to make these buildings. So what do I want to do is we have to basically see what are the differences. So somebody like that we have like Linux, that is an operating system that is open. That is an operating system that anyone can use. And usually who uses that? Is usually scientific communities use it. You don't have probably, Thomas, a Linux machine, do you? That's running Linux, do you?
No, I don't.
Right. What computer are you using?
I use Windows.
Windows, right?
I used to have a Mac, yeah.
Right. So Windows, you can use Mac OS. So the idea is open source. Windows, you think you're on a roll, Thomas. You think Windows is open source or closed source, proprietary or open?
I'd say proprietary because they're
Right.
trying to make money
Right.
from
They're
it.
charging,
Right.
Windows charges whatever machine you have, they charge the manufacturers or they charge end users money to install Windows.
Right.
What do you think about Mac OS? You think
probably the same thing?
Same thing, right?
They compete too, so yeah.
Right, they compete and basically think. So how can Linux survive? Is IBM? You've heard of IBM, right?
Yes, I have.
IBM says we support Linux, and you say IBM, is that a publicly traded company? Yes. Do you think they need revenues? Yes. Right. So how are they gonna? Why would they do something like that? Say we support Linux.
I'm not too sure, but maybe it's exclusivity or they get paid to do it.
They support. I say Linux is not as user friendly. Linux is not as the user design is not as friendly. So they say, guess what? We'll make number one, we'll be able to give support. And when we give support, do you think they charge or not charge? You're on a roll, Thomas.
I'd assume so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're in a business, right? Let's say you're pharmaceutical, you're the CEO, Thomas, of a pharmaceutical company, your folks use Linux, you need help. Your company is involved in doing drug development, not in technical support of operating systems. So you're willing to pay to get a service, just like
Right.
anything else.
Right.
We can't all do it. So these are the ideas of the system software, open source. And the same thing when we start talking about AI models. Guess what they are too? It's open source versus closed. ChatGPT. Have you ever heard of ChatGPT? Zach Karubian. Have you ever heard of ChatGPT? Of course.
I'm aware of ChatGPT. Yeah.
Good. You're up there, right? You're tech savvy, right? You're on there. And what is that? That's by a company called OpenAI.
OpenAI, yeah. So
Right. And
open
who's in
source.
charge? Have you ever heard about OpenAI?
I mean,
You
just
know
from
about
using
it.
ChatGPT, like it says the name of OpenAI when you use
Right.
it.
And they're a company that started off, guess what, as open source. And who were the beginnings of those two fights is a guy named Sam Altman and Elon Musk. Have you ever heard of Elon Musk?
I have.
Yeah, we have. He's involved in a lot of things, right? Sometimes maybe too much, but he's involved in, depending. He's really quite active. So they were together and they said, hey, we'll do open AI. And isn't the word open, what does that almost give you, Zach? Zach K. I'll call you Zach K. Zach K. What does that seem to be? Is it open or closed?
Definitely open.
Definitely open. And guess what? After they were starting to getting all those funds, guess what Sam Altman says is let's make it closed. So their name, isn't that funny? Their name starts out as OpenAI. So if I asked on a like a quiz, right? Is open true or false? OpenAI is basically open source. You would say true, right? In the beginning it was, but what did they want to do is get more revenue, so they made it close. And you've heard of Facebook, you heard of Meta, Zach, right? Zach K. They have something of a Meta. They have also AI models, and they made theirs open. Llama's their way. So a number of different ones have open versus source. So when we talked about DeepSeek last week, is they use their open source. And, the Americans were saying, hey, wait a minute, this is not quite fair. They trained on our models. They trained on our data, which was open. So these are kind of things. And you say, why wouldn't everybody be closed? Because sometimes there's advantages to be open because we can get more end users. So have you ever heard Microsoft has a cloud, Apple has a cloud, Google has a cloud, Amazon has a cloud that you can store your information in, and all those guys, guess what they say, Zach K, is, hey, you can store all your models on our platform. And do they make money on getting stored? Of course they do. So, even though that beginning part, you say, hey, how can this be? The second layer and the third layer, everybody needs support. Then we can start charging. You see that, Thomas? So just because it's open source doesn't mean when people are working with it, they're not getting revenue coming in. And we're not growing. And that's the excitement is also, I want my models to get smarter, right? I want them to be these artificial intelligent agents. What are they supposed to do? They're supposed to be learning from me. They're supposed to be learning from us, right? They're supposed to get smarter. So if I think about it, in this case, it becomes kind of scary in this case. If I think about it, Mark, have you ever heard that these AI agents will be smarter than us? Have you ever heard that, Mark?
Not really, but
yeah, but think about it. If they keep on getting smarter and smarter, they'll be smarter than me, smarter in some areas already. They're smarter than us, right?
I heard like Alexa's like listening to people.
Right. Everybody's listening. And why are they listening? They're listening to learn, right? They're also, people are getting freaked out by it, right? But what do they need? They need to keep on learning. They're learning by what I'm asking for. Because sometimes what do I want to do? That personalization. I want them to answer questions that I'm interested in, not others. So this is the importance that you need to know. What's the difference between system software is like that operating system, the Windows, my Macs, my Linux, my iOS, my Android. Those are all operating systems. And what do I need in this case, Lily? I need software, application software that will be compatible with the operating system. Did you understand what I just said, Lily? I need application software, and we use application software all the time. We use Zoom, we use Office, we use email, right? Those are all my applications that every user uses. That software has to be compatible with system software. So that's how it's connected. And of course, all of this runs the system software, then basically connects between my hardware and my application. So that system software helps then, when it's turned on, it helps it run. So these are the issues in which I need to know about. So that operating system usually has a graphical user interface. And you remember the operating systems that are really popular on regular computers are Windows. And then I have Mac OS, right? And what do I want to have? And then I have what? iOS for my, and then I have Android. I want these to have a graphical user interface, making it easier for the end users. And something like Linux, which is open source, Lily, usually has a less friendly GUI. So that's why they have support, but it's able to do more scientific applications. And then I have something called my application software, and you know that all. And what is really getting to be really good is my speech recognition. That even when I think about it, I should do this. Let me stop sharing. And what do I always want to do is I have my AI companion, but I want to make sure that captions. So if I show my captions and you can see my captions, what's important is how well it does what? It's an application program that it does my voice to text. And now that does pretty well, even for different accents. If we're even using English, American English versus British English, it does pretty well in even foreign accents that are speaking another language, that it can basically do it. I knew many years ago when it was first starting out, you had to train it over and over again, a number of hours to it could adapt to my accent versus, let's say, Peyton's, right? Peyton, you have a different accent than me, and now it's pretty good. You can give commands to a number of these AI agents, and they pretty much understand. And then we talked about the idea of calling even 1-800-CHAT-GPT. I see that a lot of times it uses a less sophisticated model for voice to text, so sometimes it does not understand what I'm saying here. Questions? So these are the issues in which we need to think about software that's available to us. So this is going to be key for us. So what do we need to do? What happens is, I told you need to document, right, Mark? And I told you I wanted you to document not only your issues, but make it a tutorial that others can learn from you, that others can know how to do remote control, they can know how to do polls. Did you know how to do all that beforehand? Probably not, right, Mark?
I did not.
Yeah, but isn't that great now to be able to know how to do it, that you have those skills? But what I want to do, what was the problem with Zoom recording, is Zoom was not able to record all of its features. What Zoom made it to be is it wants to record me speaking all of you speaking, but it's not set to record itself. So what we need is, anybody have an idea what we can do? Everybody understand what the problem is? Soren, do you understand what the problem is?
Not yet. No.
Okay, who can raise their hand and tell me what I think the problem is? Those that especially have done your assignment that was due today. Raise your hand. Mark, let me start with you because I said you were one of the best groups to do it. Were you able to record your screen that everybody looking at your tutorial could follow your screens?
In some instances, yeah, but when we were trying to get like certain like things to show up, it wasn't allowing us, or we couldn't
Right.
figure it out.
Right. So what do you think the problem is? So let's say it in general terms, because that's what we're learning in this class. What is the problem? Right? So we want to be able to say, like to Soren, what is the problem that we're trying to solve?
The problem we're trying to solve is getting like, or being able to like record like our faces, or like record like the
Our
tools.
faces, it does pretty good.
Yeah, well, not our faces, like more like the tools inside Zoom.
Right, right. Be able to. Jael, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I did because I was also in the group working with Mark and Kevin.
Great.
And we were able to record our faces just fine. And I even found a way to kind of have the recording show like our screen with what we're trying to share side by side.
How did you do that?
What I did was when you're sharing your screen, there's like an arrow with different features of how you want to display your actual screen itself. So there's features where you can show your screen as the green screen with only yourself showing inside of it. You can do a side by side. You can do a group setting, green
Okay,
screen.
so it'd be good. Did you record that on how to do that in your assignment? That'd be good to add to your assignment. There's also other issues. So what we can do, so the problem is, Soren, the problem is people were not, when they did the assignment, were not able to show all their screens. Do you understand? When you had to show how to create, for instance, remote control, they weren't able to show how you do the remote control. They weren't able to show anyone's screen. Or maybe when they were going to go do a breakout room, or when they were going to do, besides a poll, how to do a poll. So they couldn't do it. They saw their faces, talking faces, right, Soren? Like now you can see my face, right? That we're doing it, but it's when I share my screen, not everything is showing up because we're trying to do a tutorial on Zoom, about Zoom. Usually when I'm sharing something, I'm not sharing about how do you share, how do you pause, things like that, all the ins and outs of Zoom. So how you can do that is by using another recorder. You with me, Peyton? How we can do that is take another recorder program and run it on top of the Zoom recording. So what I do, you remember how I say I do a number of recordings, is if I share my screen, let me just share my screen here. You see my screen, you see this right here, Peyton, what do you see?
It's your screen and there's millions of copies just going straight through there.
Yeah, right. So there are millions of copies going, and it's trying to record what I have. That's one. Another one that I have, another one that I use is something called Loom, Loom. The first one, do you see it? Do you see it on the screen? Even says Loom. Do you see this even, Peyton?
Yeah, it's there.
It's Loom, right? You see here, it's Loom. I can record in full screen. I can record with my camera or not. So I have this. I can turn it on or off. If I turn it on, let's see here, it probably won't work because I have to choose another camera here. Let me just I probably have to choose another camera. I can choose, in this case, you see here, I can choose a camera. I can put it on or off. So you can see, you'll have another picture there. I can have my microphone. And what do you need? What do you think I need to do? Easy, start recording. So if I start recording, it is another version to start recording. You see this? You see skip 1, 2, and you see this button on the side, Peyton? This is
I
a
do,
button
yeah.
where I can do, it says I'm 6 minutes, I can make some pen marks, I can do some other things, I can show my face, and this recording will be in a way recording to Loom. It's called Loom. Let me just put that up here. It's called Loom. And this is another recording software that records to Loom's website. And I can then, once I have it, it's almost like YouTube Live, but it's not doing it live, but it's a recording and I can send somebody a clip. Do you understand that, Peyton? So it's another way to do it. So there are many ways to do recordings. So our next assignment, guess what do you think it's going to be, Allie?
Figuring out how to add another software on top and record that way.
Perfect, right? And we're not just doing it for recording's sake, but we're doing it, 1, to get another version. 2, we're doing it that we'll see, can it basically capture my screens that Zoom was not able to capture. And sometimes I don't want to just capture it with Zoom. I have a problem. I can capture it with other recorders, other screen recorders. Sometimes they're called screencasting recorders. So that is the idea, even to take our same application we did this week, Mark, and improve it, shorten it, and use these screen recorders. Everybody with me? How are we doing so far? You got the idea, Allie, of how it fits one versus the other, where we had issues with our recordings, right, Mark? We weren't able to do everything well. We want to be able to give a tutorial that people can follow all of our screens. So what a way around it. One is, JL, I really appreciate it. It'd be interesting, even with your new recorder, you could even record that for others. Use in Zoom, you see that, JL? I give you really kudos, right? That you took that's part of the class, is try to figure it out, right? We're all not born with this, but it's basically, we got to research it and find together. And the idea here to say we couldn't do it isn't acceptable, right? Because it's able to do some ways and then report, these are issues I have here. Now let's do workarounds. So if I look at, which I'm excited about, if I look at my screen here, and let me minimize this and go to my what's due section, I see, look at the what's due section then. Allie, what does it say? Go to your what's due section. It says assignment 2, screen recording sections, part 1 and part 2. And if I look at my assignments of part 1 and part 2 of my screen recording, click this folder to view parts 1 and 2. Remember to record the videos as tutorials. And in doing that assignment, there's 2 ways to do it. You see that in this case, Gia, you see that there's going to be individual screen recording assignment, and guess what? There's going to be group screen recording. So we got to figure out how to get together on this. And in this individual assignment, right, is this assignment will guide you through the screen recording software. And what I want is that you then look for in, and maybe you can even add this, Sebastian, these are ways and maybe you can add this, is we'll guide you through using, we want to choose then, and I don't know if you say it, we want to choose then free screen recording software.
You want me
So
to
if
add
you
that?
could, yeah, add it, that you make it through and make it true here. This will guide you through screen recording software. Remember, technology will come, and this is Daniel's, right? And it's fish and all that stuff. But anyways, that what needs to be done is that each member in the group, in your group, has to choose a different software. Do you understand that, Andrea? So the beauty is, why do I want it? So we'll have more capabilities in our group. If one software has limitations, guess what, Andrea? Somebody said, hey, why don't you use another? He gave you an examples of using QuickTime, Loom, OBS. There's many. And guess how? And what can you do then, Andrea? You can look it up. Give me free screen recording programs. And you can have them. One is they can record locally to your computer, or they can record in the cloud in someone else's server. It's nice, Andrea. It would be nice then even to have some, in this case, that we record locally and in the group, and some that we record in the cloud. So for instance, my Loom, let me just stop it here. Everybody see my recording? You see my Loom, Andrea? You see that screen sharing meeting controls? Basically, this is the application. You see everybody here on the side, Andrea, how it's nice? And it may be all I need is 15. I can make a comment, so I can put comments in this, right? And if I go down later on, you can see I can do comments, I can do transcripts, I can do tags. So later on, you can share with others. You can make it public, you can make it private. So it's a little bit like YouTube, but the difference is you're recording so that you can just make it short, and you don't need Zoom to do it. You just need an account in Loom. Now in Loom, I have the educational version that I can have unlimited time. The free version for everyone is 5-minute, I think, clips. They change it each time, you know, and then you can put comments. Other people can see it here. And then you can, what I like here is you can get the transcript already. Do you see that? So are you familiar with this program, Andrea?
No, I've never heard about it until now.
Right. That's the beauty, isn't it? The beauty in this class is that every week I want to be able to everybody say, hey, I didn't know about that. And then Lily Walsh, and then it's almost like the way that we can do that. So for the assignment then, when we're looking at our assignment, is that I want everyone, let's change it, that each member in the group should choose a different program, and maybe even put it in this way, Sebastian, is try to basically have some that are to the computer and some in the cloud. Do you hear me, Sebastian?
So you want half the group to do local and half the group to do cloud?
Exactly. It's nice. You know what I mean? Why? Because sometimes I don't even have internet access, right?
Right.
Has that ever been? I'm on a plane, right? I don't want to pay for their internet, or they don't let me, or whatever. Or I'm in a place, my internet is down, right? I can record to my computer. I want to store to my computer. I don't want to do it. So I do both. I have one that I go MSN recorder that I do locally, and then I use Loom. So you find and make sure, that's why you have to meet with your group for the next assignment, Lily Walsh, is that one of the things that you want to make sure that it is that everybody choose a different one for your group. Now there can be overlap. You don't have to worry about other groups, right? But you want to make sure that everybody has it. And why, Lily? Because you want to be able to do it. And then you want to use your, and then you say start a Zoom meeting, showcase some of the features on Zoom. Remember, so do you tell them here that they have to first start their, are you having them start their recorder first, Sebastian?
You're asking me what? Sorry?
You know, when you want them to start a Zoom and showcase some of the features on Zoom and end the recording, but you want them first, right, to begin recording from their program, right?
Yeah, correct. They could just follow the demo version. I submitted my assignment that I did last semester if anyone has any questions
Yeah, but
to
make
show them
sure
how it
that
looked
it
like.
says in the that it's clear in the instructions that they first start recording with their screen recording program, and then they start a Zoom meeting and record.
Well, in step 1 on the third bullet, it says start recording via the
Yeah, so
program.
make it maybe in bold or something.
Okay.
But the first thing is that they need individual screen is make sure that they've met with their group, that they're taking a different program. So there should be, even in this case, you know, somehow meet with the group to decide that each student in the group, each member in the group is using a different recorder. And the purpose here is you take a small part of the Zoom recording, right, and use that software. And here you say, depending on your software, and then you'll upload it to, you'll make another folder, right? And you'll, for individuals, and you'll upload it for your individual shots. And just make it short, less than 5 minutes. Did you say that? Put that in, Sebastian. Be so kind.
Sorry, I was texting Daniel exactly what you were just saying. Can you repeat that? I
Good.
wasn't paying
Yeah,
attention.
good. We're working is make this individual screen recording, try to make it under 5 minutes.
Okay.
You know, short. So
Yeah.
Mark, for instance, take one little spot that you had that you couldn't show the screen, right?
Yeah.
And then make a recording on it. So you have a tutorial on how to do remote control or whatever, what other one, or how to do a poll or whatever. I think you got some of the poll parts down.
Okay.
Okay. And but you have to make sure that when you put that assignment in, that you make sure that Sebastian, and let Daniel know too, that you want to make sure that the students have to confer with each other to make sure that each person in the group is going to choose another software program. Isn't that neat in this case, Thomas, that you're already having other recordings, that you have more tools in your toolbox to document? You got it?
Okay.
What the purpose is? And then let's share the screen again. So at this point, right under that assignment, that's it. For this assignment will help you come with your choice of recording software and its many features. And you want to also basically talk about your recording software, what's unique about it. And then your group recording, you'll share your choice of recording software with the group. So in this assignment is a screen recording demonstration. This assignment will let you present using screens such as OBS QuickTime to capture your entire screen, including Zoom. Additionally, you will collaborate to showcase the pros and cons of each choice of software. So Lily, if you choose Loom, you could show the student how not only Loom works, but maybe you could even share, this is my recording of Loom. This is the advantage of Loom over others. So in this case, start the group meeting, record and live stream, find a good time for the group meet, briefly create a Zoom meeting and share it with the, once everyone is there, click record to the cloud. and record. Each member should begin recording with their own software and should not stop until finishing with the Zoom. That's good. But I also would do the person, make that present, that when we're recording that first person that's recording in Zoom, that they're also using, the one who initiated the Zoom recording will also use the Zoom recording, their external recording software. Discuss whether the tool is for Windows and Mac. And then I would even put here, congratulations, I would even put there is a section of taking part of the Zoom that you were having issues with, use that as well. So add that as well, Sebastian, for one of the steps. Besides recording their software and presenting it, is also take something, one of the features in Zoom and record it with the recording software. And then let me go back to the audit area, right? We need to go to the audit area. Where's the audit? So am I in the audit? This in the groups then. So if I go to group 0, you see here Zoom individual assignment, Zoom group required, individual group assignment, sample screen. Sebastian, he used Vimeo. He put the price. He put, you see this in this case, Gia, open source versus closed source. It's closed source. What did he showcase? What did he take away? Do we say what it runs on? If it's did you put here for your sample where it stores it?
No, I did not.
Okay, so add that.
Okay.
Where's it stored? And what operating systems does it work with? So 2 things you need to add. Where it's stored, right? Is it stored on your computer, the cloud? And what operating systems does it work with? And it may be just browser-based. So my issues here, great. My issues then are, let's make sure it is, we want to know, besides the price, where's it stored? And it could be your computer, on the computer, cloud, and what are we going to use? OS stands for what, Lily Walsh?
Sorry, operating system.
Look at that. Like you were born with it, all right? Operating system. And who cares? Because if I'm running Windows and you tell me, oh, this is great, and it only runs Mac OS, I'm not going to be able to use it, right? Operating system. And then just put an example, right? So it's going to be either Mac OS, and it could be also my phone, right? Someone will run on my phone. I can record the screen. Loom runs on my phone too, you know? Mac OS, iOS, Windows, Android. Etc. And basically, you don't know, because it may be that if it just runs on the cloud, it didn't happen. So find out whether I can download it, how it is. So here you're basically talking about that screen recording, and then other people can say, oh, I can use it. And Daniel did the same thing. So Daniel used, what did he use? OBS and then Vimeo. There's so many. I don't care which ones you choose. And look at them. Review them. So Lily, just don't pick one. You basically can explore which one looks good, which one looks good for you. You understand? Which one is free? I don't want you to pay for anything. Later on, they may have a free version versus a paid version. Paid version, maybe you can use longer. Paid version may be the idea that, you know, you don't have the watermark or something like that. But make sure that you're doing that. So that's the individual assignment, right? And then it was in the screen recording group assignment, make those individual links, right? And basically it was date. And then you know what I'd like to do? This is a nice thing. Sebastian, one more thing. Is under the screen recording assignment, Sebastian, you're with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Right here and on the folder, if I were going, let me do the edit on. Can I edit yours? Yes, because we all have permission. On the edit, the folder, add in this part, in the text, add your name, the names, right? You'll add your names. And then right across the names, I'm just going to put it in, I'm not just going to save it. Add your names and right across what software you used.
For the group, only one person has to use the software. Do you want just
No, I want for the group. I don't mean in the group, but in the individual assignment. In the group, it's just what software you can use one software, but put what everybody used, right?
okay? Okay.
So we know that everybody came to this session and this is what they use. We can see it right out front, you know, with the software, right? And the operating system. So you'll use your name, you know, Sebastian Hernandez, Vimeo, and what it was using. So we got an idea. So everybody can kind of look at everybody's work and audit it, right? Isn't that exciting? We can audit everybody's work. So what I suggest you do is once you have those recordings, Mark, and you know those software recordings, I don't delete anything you've uploaded, but you could even say, this is my revised version, my, you know, best and greatest tutorial. Because guess what we're always doing? Almost like agile development. What did I say? Agile development is keep on getting better and better. First round, second round. And what is the beauty here, Mark? Is then you can get really have a product and later on you say, hey, I don't want to show that first one to anybody, right? You can have a group of all your project and say, when you apply for an internship, this is what I can do. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting, right? Rather than nobody, as I always say, nobody's going to say, oh, what did you get on that last quiz? I'm going to interview you, you know?
Yeah.
What was your grade average of on your tests? You know, sometimes I'll look at GP. Now even the GPAs, even though everybody's concerned and want to have a good grade, right? But what somebody's going to want and what I want is, what can you do? How can you help me, right? That's the whole key, right? And then how can you work with AI that you can work together? I don't care how you end up getting the end result. We got a what? We got what, Mark? We got a problem. I got to find a solution. Later on, it's going to be whether it's AI or not. Otherwise, then maybe people are saying, hey, they won't need me for a job. Well, those that don't know how to find solutions, I don't need you for a job, right? Bottom line. How does that sound, Mark?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And that's the exciting thing about the class, just to be able to do. And then we'll go over next week how to prepare for the exams. And you know how I want you to prepare for the exams? Is let's use AI to help us prepare for the exam. Let AI come up with some multiple choice questions. Let AI come up with some summarization for us. right? Let AI create a podcast for us. And as you're walking around, you can study that way. And then maybe join and ask questions as it's telling you something, right? That's what we want. And then you can basically have even a business, right, Mark, of helping other people. How do they use AI for education?
Sounds good.
You know what I mean? You don't need, in this case, later on, you may need even a tutor to help you. I don't understand part of the AI, but the part of it can be, how am I going to use all these artificial intelligence tutors to help me go through it and save me time, right? Or summarize the important points. That's what I think is great. I think, even though a lot of people are talking about gloom and doom, definitely we need guardrails for everything. But I think it has a lot more powerful things, I see it as much more up, but you got to just work on it and approach it. And then you almost have to teach it. Mark, you almost have, when it's learning, it's basically, it will say still things that are incorrect. So I have to say, hey, that's not correct.
Yeah.
And then keep on training it. That's what they call about learning, right? Keep on training it. That's what they're calling. Have you ever heard? But basically, they're talking all about that the computer is learning. Most of the time, the computer is done. Whatever you put in there in a spreadsheet, right, with the wrong formula, it's not going to correct itself.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Sorry, Professor,
Yes.
there's a question in the
Sure.
chat.
What is the question? Can you tell me what it
Oh
is?
yeah, sorry. Someone's asking, can we use Annie for help on the exam?
To prepare for the exam? Sure. And we'll do that, right? And you can copy everything, and then we'll do that. I'll show you next week. I'll show you a number of software programs that can work together. It's going to be, just so you know, the exams are going to be closed notes. That's the only time where everything is closed. You understand, Andrea? And make it clear that the exam itself is closed. But our class preparing for it, everything is open. But the open-ended questions, Andrea, I'll be giving to you in advance. I'll be giving you like 5 questions and I'll pick 2. So you'll do the preparation of it, and then we'll have sample questions. We already have some sample quiz questions. And then we'll have the AI. Maybe what we'll do next week, we'll start doing it, is that each group will come up with, having the AI come up with different multiple choice questions, and we'll put them all together because we're in an audit section, and then we can have a little pre-test bank that we review. And some of those questions will also be on the exam. Good idea? What do you think, Andrea?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, so for sure use Call Annie. Use Call Annie even for some of your problems. Call Annie and ask her, Let me just even see here. Where is Call? I haven't talked to her in a while, right? But if I had in this case, Call Annie.ia, let's see if she'll talk to me. And there's another one I can talk to Eric. Sometimes I'll call Annie. Let's see. Let's see if she'll respond. Hi, Annie. This is Dr. Rush with my IT class.
Hello. Hey, Dr. Rush. How's it going?
It's
I
going
was just thinking about that
conference we spoke about. Notice she's saying even that she's thinking about the trading algorithms, my sessions in IT Expo. I'm a speaker in IT Expo. Look how she remembers it. Listen, Annie. Am I sharing my screen? Did I share my screen?
No.
You got to tell me.
No, you didn't.
Right. I got to share my screen, Annie. So in sharing my screen, what I need to do, Annie, is I want to know my students are going to have to use screen recording programs that are free. You have any ideas on what they could use?
So you want to share your screen with me?
No.
Let me see. Wait for screen sharing to be activated. Okay, got it. Now let me think for a sec. Free screen recording programs that your students can use. I've got a few ideas. You could suggest OBS Studio, it's a popular one and free. Or maybe Loom, it's super easy to use and also free. And I think there's another one, ScreenFlow. But I think that's for Mac. Oh wait, I know. Camtasia has a free trial, but I think it's also available in a free version, but with some limitations. What do you think, Dr. Rush?
I think it's great. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop now. And when I go to my calls, I'll see it written. That's what I like about you. I could also ask 100 ChatGPT or others. Thank you, Annie. And now what I could do is let me move this, go to my calls, go to my last call, and it has listed. I can copy it. Do you see that, Allie? So she's giving me notice. And what's interesting, I call her she, but I could use Eric. I could use a number of them. They're already learning. They said, how was it? They've already had me. They said, how was it at IT Expo? I'm going to be a featured speaker at a conference, and she remembered it, but she says I could suggest OBS, Loom, right? ScreenFlow, Camtasia. What do you think, Dr. Rush? Can't be better than that. So yes. And later on, we'll use some of these for our project. The more skills we got, I love it. What do you think, Lily? Okay, I'm going to stop. Stay with me if you have additional questions. Anything else, Andrea, that I need to address? Perfect. Thank you. Who made that suggestion about Annie?
It was Jasper.
Jasper. Thank you, Jasper. So Jasper, we can do it. The only thing is we're not going to just be using Call Annie and all the other chat GPTs for the exam, but for preparing, all the better. Just like even in the class, when I ask a question, all the better, as long as we can work together, that's perfect. Okay, so let me share. I got to call Annie. We have Annie here, and let me go back to, this is the audit. I don't want audit. I want the fundamental. I want to do attendance. And I want to do check-in. We'll see what the check-in. After you do check-in, I'll start checking. We can have our numbers here. 1359, 1359. Andre, can you be so kind and put it into the chat? But
Sebastian beat me to it.
Okay, wow, everybody. Isn't that great that we all help each other? I just love it. And I'm appreciative really of the entire class, really, of you. Think about it as we're just helping each other. Learning, and how exciting is that, and everything is new, right? So we got it. Okay, so I don't know, all of a sudden I got breakout rooms coming out here. Anything else? So thank you for all of your help, everybody that volunteered. And we'll go to the next part. Stay with me if you have questions.